Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hello, my name is Shirley Merritt, and I want to welcome you to my show, which I'm calling Raspberry Lemonade. Let's talk. You know, they say if life gives you lemons, turn them into lemonade. Well, my favorite flavor is raspberry. I just wanted to give you an idea of why I gave my show the name that I did, Raspberry Lemonade. That's how I view my MS journey. First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because He's given me this awesome blessing. I'm so happy that the station managers invited me to join this team of remarkable people to host my own show about multiple sclerosis. I've been given the opportunity to use this forum to converse about an illness which I live with every day of my life. Now, how good is that? So I promise to bring shows to the platform which are informative, enlightening, both intriguing and interesting, and hopefully they'll be fun for you. This setting, if you will, is going to be such a gift to me, as well as a strength for me. In fact, it's going to be part of my support system. With that being said, my topic for today happens to be, you guessed it, the significance of a support system. I'll start by giving you my definition of a support system. For me, it's an organized method, maybe a type of an arrangement of processes, people, activities, groups, maybe religious affiliations, and programs. When I say processes, I mean like the steps and the methods, courses, which are the way that we develop or plan things, or the approach that we take. Basically, it's the actions you choose to take in order to get something accomplished. The people, of course, are your friends and family. It could be your pastors, counselors, your teachers, and even your co-workers. Now, as we all know, when you're working, you have to be very cautious about who you disclose this delicate information to because it's so very personal. I have a sister, and she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis as well, about 3 years before I was. She's 15 months younger than me. So I guess you could say she was the forerunner. When I began having symptoms, I was able to bounce them off of her, and she was like my sounding board. I remember when I first called her and I said, to my sister, I said, I've been dizzy for 4 days. She raised an eyebrow, and I thought to myself, wonder what that means. She might be thinking that I have the same illness that she has. Then when I came back to her and I said, I've been dizzy for 10 days, she said, you need to go have an MRI. So by then she was really thinking that I could possibly have the same thing that she has. Now, I remember when she was first diagnosed, the first thing she told me was, don't worry, it's not hereditary. But I've since found out that there is a hereditary factor involved. In fact, there's a genetic factor involved, as well as others like environmental and some other things. I had a supervisor when I was working. And when I think about the people that were in my life, like my sister, I have to think about my supervisor, because she was like my guardian angel. She was sent to me from God. She was very protective and shielding of me. And at this time, it was important to have people around me who cared and that were concerned about me. She was this way without me even asking her to be. I thought of her as part of my support system, actually. I remember when they told us, our group, we were going to be able to work at home 5 days a week. So, I would be at home working, and we would have a team meeting. Well, we all called in for the meeting because we were all at home. So she would like delegate responsibilities, and one of the responsibilities was that someone would take the team minutes, and we would have to take turns with that task. So when she got to me on the list, she would tell me, Shirley, okay, I want you to take the minutes. However, let everyone think you're taking the minutes, but I'll really be taking them. And then I'll send an email to you, and you can disperse them to the rest of the team members. And she was just like this. She was just wonderful. I needed someone at my place of work that cared about me, and she did that without me even asking her to. I'm finding that there are people in this world that are truly kind and love you even though you're a stranger. I didn't know those types of people existed. And there are also people who are impatient. They're easily irritated. And, it's funny how I meet strangers who act so much more caring and supportive sometimes than people that I interact with on a daily basis. even within my own family sometimes. Sometimes when I go places, actually every time when I go places like to the grocery store, there's always someone. I don't even have to look around for them. They just appear. It's like God sending them to me to help me out. There are at least three people, I promise you, that will come up to me and offer to help me. They'll say, I want to help you in some way. Can I help you in any way? And they'll do things like they'll go get the electric scooter for me. I even had one lady who every time when I rode around on the scooter to different aisles, I promise you this lady would be on that same aisle. And this happened at least three or four times while I was in the store. She would be on that same aisle and she would come up to me and say, I promise you I'm not following you. But she would be there so that if I needed something on the top shelf, she would always say, I'll get it for you, when I would try to reach for it or try to stand up in my scooter. And I felt like she was my guardian angel. God had sent her to me. And that's, I would actually tell people this. I would tell them, you're my guardian angel. There was one time when a man was driving, he was in a truck. He literally stopped his truck in the middle of the parking lot, asked me if I needed some help getting a scooter. I said, yes. And he stopped his truck in the middle of the parking lot, got out, went to the store, got a scooter, and brought it back to me. But while he was going, his truck was still running. He left his truck. And I remember I was worried. I was like, well, I hope no one jumps in his truck and drives off with it. So I tried to stand near it, trying to at least protect it. Not that I could do anything if someone did jump in it, but I wanted to at least, try to guard it for him until he got back. So he came back and he brought me the scooter and I thanked him and I was like, he was so nice. But there are so many times that I leave the house and wherever I go, there's someone who offers to help me. Now, these people are being supportive. However, they are not part of my support system because I didn't know they were going to be here. I didn't know I was going to need their assistance. However, it seems like every time I go somewhere, I do need someone's assistance, and I gladly welcome it when they offer. One thing I've noticed is that there are so many good people left in this world. And before this happened to me, I guess I wasn't aware that there were all these good-hearted people left in the world. I'm also aware of the fact that there are a lot of impatient, easily irritated people and sometimes they're within my own family, versus strangers who sometimes act so much more caring and supportive. Usually I say to them after they've done something for me, these strangers, I'll say, you must have someone in your life who is disabled because you seem to have so much empathy for me and you are treating me with so much care as if you're used to treating someone else like this. Sometimes they will say, yeah, it could be an older man who's like 75 years old, who's actually as small as I am or even smaller. And he'll say, well, yeah, my wife was using one of these recently, or he could say she's using one now. And sometimes it's a man, a big, strong, healthy man who's about 35, and he'll say, yeah, I had to use one of these last year. I broke my leg. Or it could be a young guy in his 20s who'll say his mother or his grandmother uses one. Sometimes it'll be a young 20-year-old kid who will say, no, my mother just trained me well. And that's when I say, oh my gosh, you are such an exceptional young man. You know, it's so important. I cannot stress how important it is. I cannot stress enough. It's so important to have friends who care about you and have genuine empathy for you. And I have friends like that. They will help me whenever I go somewhere, if they're with me or if they're meeting me there. They will help me back to my car. You know, they will help me lift my leg up. I have a leg lifter. And that's part of my support system too. You know, an inanimate object can be part of your support system. But they can help lift my leg into the car, and strangers even do that. They help me lift my leg up into the car as if they know that I need that help. It's kind of funny, but I even think of my dog as part of my support system. I refer to her as my little girl. I think of her as a person. I live alone, so she is my family. I love her dearly. And I believe I do think of her as my child. I call her my baby girl. I have a lot of friends with MS. I also have a lot of other dear friends, but they live so far away from me that I don't see them as often. Now, most of my friends, the ones with MS, they walk very well. However, they experience a lot of pain and tiredness in their legs. They cannot relate to my symptoms of not being able to walk and the heaviness and the muscle spasticity and things like that that I have. They cannot relate to those symptoms, nor can I relate to theirs. I don't know what it is to have pain with multiple sclerosis. So even though we have the same illness, we have dissimilar symptoms, yet we can still be support for each other. So it's very important to have friends that are empathetic. As I mentioned earlier, activities include anything like events, anything active, like events, happenings, accomplishments. These are things like exercise, for example, exercise classes. That's an event. When you go to the gym and work out. Personally, I go to the Shepherd Center. It's a place in Atlanta where it's a brain and spinal cord injury hospital, actually, and they have a really good rehabilitation clinic there, and they have a gym and a wellness program with a swimming pool. And so I go there and exercise. That would be considered an activity. So, activities can be anything like events, happenings, or accomplishments. Exercise class, gym workouts, as I mentioned. groups can be like a support group. My support group is very positive, motivating, very informative and inspirational. We interact, we share information about news, current events, and we go around the room and one by one we tell about our recent positive experiences, things that have happened in our lives. We share ideas about MS resources. We have guest speakers such as members from the MS organizations like the MS Society, the MS Foundation, the MS Association of America. We'll have a representative that comes and speaks to us, about the ways in which, they can support us and help us with things that we need. They can also be part of your support system. One time we have a member of our support group. She is the wife of a farmer, and she came and he came, and they spoke to us about the benefits of incorporating homegrown vegetables into our diets. That's crucial for a person with MS. So, again, that support group is very substantial in my support system. Religious affiliations, they include church, devotion, prayer, and faith. In church, there are certain groups that you can join, and there might even be a support group within the church for people with chronic illnesses, or I believe they call it like a recovery group. And it's actually for people going through anything, any problem, anything where they need counseling or where they need to interact with other people going through the same types of, traumatic experiences within their lives. Churches is really good to find support because, you visit with your pastor on a regular basis, or if not the pastor himself, someone on the presbytery might be assigned to you, and you can visit them and you can have prayer, and so devotion, prayer, and faith is very substantial. All of these aforementioned elements contribute to having a very good and strong support system, which I will reiterate is very necessary for enabling our warriors to combat this monster, multiple sclerosis. With that being said, I believe that wraps up my show. And I look forward to talking with you again next week. I really enjoyed this experience, and I hope you enjoyed talking or listening to me. So I guess until next week, I will see you soon. Bye.
And I love guessed I don't belong, and I don't care for all of this. My mind sits alone, it's only bliss.